sailing to the mission land. Sailing, sailing, mission boat. It takes the teacher to the children there. Sailing, missionary boat. This week, we will be learning about a friend named Sylvia, and she lives in Finland. And she will be teaching us the story of how to just say no to bad things, of course. Well, we are going to say that this little girl here represents our friend Sylvia. Well, Sylvia was a 12-year-old, and she was in 7th grade. And one day, as she was walking with some friends that were in her class, one of those friends had an idea, a terrible idea. One of them had a very, 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 very damaging substance that was tobacco. And they decided to start smoking it. And they were passing it all around. And Sylvia had never smoked or done anything harmful to her body like that. So they asked her if she wanted to try it. Sylvia should have said no, but she didn't have the strength, the spiritual strength to say no, and she tried it. And to her detriment, she kept trying it over and over again with these group of friends. Well, one day, one of her friends, she went and invited her friend to go have a sleepover at her house. And Sylvia's parents were there. And Sylvia's parents were happy to greet this friend, but they did not know what would happen that night. And so they went to bed. "Good night, Sylvia," said Mommy and Daddy. And then Sylvia, as she was having her sleepover, her friend had a terrible idea. And she said, "Look, Sylvia, look at what I have." "What is that?" said Sylvia. "It's a bottle of alcohol." And she said, "How did you get it?" "Well, I was able to get it from my parents. They don't know I had it." "Oh no." So Sylvia made another bad decision again. She decided to try it. Oh no. She did not know how to say no to bad things. Well, as time went by, Sylvia kept consuming these very terrible and harmful substances. And one day, as she was trying to do her homework, she could not focus. Because you know what? These substances like alcohol and tobacco do to your body is that it damages her brain, her lungs, and other organs. And you know, the fact that her brain was being affected translated to when she tried to do her homework. When Sylvia tried to do her homework, she couldn't focus, and she wanted to give up. And you know, at that moment, when in her moment of desperation, she asked God to help her. She said, "God, please help me." And it so happened that her mom and her dad had decided to attend church. They decided to attend church, and they went to church. And you know, Sylvia was able to get a hold of a Bible, and she started to read the Bible. And in the Bible, she found wonderful promises, and she asked God to help her to stop doing those things that were harmful to her body. And you know, whenever those bad friends called her and said, "Sylvia, come, let's go hang out and do the things we like to do," Sylvia said, "No, she decided to not. And soon those friends disappeared from her life. And as she started going to church, she was surrounded by other friends. She was able to meet other friends that wanted to do good things. And you know what good things Sylvia was able to do by going to church? They wanted to help other people. So they did activities like feeding the homeless. They prepared wonderful meals so that they could feed the homeless. They were busy at work finding out how they could help others. This is what Sylvia and her new friends did now. They read their Bible, they shared it, and they also cooked really good meals and served them to the homeless at projects like ADRA. And so Sylvia learned a very important lesson, that to say no to things that are harmful to her body. And today Sylvia is 23 years old and she's studying in a university to make something better of herself. And she teaches children to simply say no to bad things. This story is titled Breakfast with Jesus, and the memory verse is, "You should do as I have done for you." So we're going to learn in this lesson that Jesus teaches us that we should do just like he did. And our scenery takes place with the disciples. The disciples decided to go fishing on a beautiful night. They enjoyed fishing because as they were fishing, they were able to talk about one of their favorite things, which was about Jesus. Some of the disciples shared and said, "Oh, I remembered when Jesus met the Samaritan woman." Another disciple said, "I remember when Jesus healed the leper." Another disciple said, "Well, I remember when Jesus resurrected the dead." Another disciple shared, "Well, my favorite one was when we had the Last Supper." Another disciple shared the story of when Jesus healed the children. Another one shared their favorite stories of when Jesus healed and preached in the temple and everywhere he went. So that is how the disciples spend the night, talking about Jesus and remembering all his miracles. So they cast their net and they were fishing as they were talking and enjoying through the night. But as the night wore on, they realized that they hadn't caught any fish. Not only were they tired, but they were also very, very hungry. And so the night wore on, and the disciples became a little bit sad that they were going to have to spend the day without eating. And soon the sun came up and they had caught nothing. Suddenly they heard a voice of a man calling them. That the man said, "Did you catch anything?" And they said, "No, we haven't caught anything." And the man said to them, "Well, cast your net on the other side." And there was something about this man that caused them to obey. And so they did. They cast their net on the other side. And as soon as that happened, their net was filled with fish. It was so heavy that they had a hard time pulling it in. And then suddenly, John and Peter, they said, "Look carefully. That is Jesus." And Peter was so excited that he couldn't wait for the boat to reach the shore. He decided to jump. Peter was so excited that he wanted to swim and go meet the Lord himself as quick as possible. And he was so happy that it was Jesus who was there with him. And so the disciples, when they finally made it, you know what? Jesus had a wonderful meal prepared for all of them. And it was nice and warm and delicious. And the disciples were so thankful because they had spent all night fishing. They hadn't caught anything. And now this wonderful warm meal that Jesus had prepared for them fulfilled not only their tummies, but also they were so happy that they were able to see Jesus and spend another moment. In this lesson, Jesus teaches us that we need to serve others just like he served.